In this video, I'm going to share with you the truth about Friday the 13th and how this day was distorted to repress the feminine energy on the planet. My name is Carolyn Yakopich, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Now, when we think of Friday the 13th, we typically associate it with bad luck and horror movies or horror series. And this has happened on the planet for a reason. Now, when we associate this with a negative connotation, it makes us fear this day. So I remember growing up and always was told Friday the 13th is bad luck. And it was like this feeling that was throughout humanity. It was like something that everybody knew, at least in North America, where I'm from. So this has been very at the forefront in humanity's consciousness. Now, once I started getting into numerology and also into pagan religion and earth religion and goddess religions, and we're talking about like moving back into the ancient times of the Druidism and the Celtic religions and worshiping the goddess. When I started getting introduced to these ways of life, which was in my early 20s, 21 years old, so this is going back many, many years, I started feeling and seeing things in a different light. And it was almost an immediate transition into seeing it as it truly is. Now, I'm going to break this down for you in little pieces. So we have Friday. Each day of the week is associated with a different planet. And those planetary energies are more amplified and they directly impact us here on Earth in a stronger way on that particular day. Friday is the day of Venus. Venus is the goddess and the planet of love and beauty, also associated with sensuality and femininity. And so we have this energy of Venus on Friday the 13th, and it is embracing the love and beauty in all things. And if you think about it as well, Friday is that day that where we're approaching the weekend and people start winding down and relaxing. And so it's that softer energy of relaxation and letting go of the week as well. So that is also available to us on that day. Now, when we look at the number 13, there are many ways to see it. So we have 13, first and foremost, as the number of the divine feminine. In the lunar calendar, there are 13 moon cycles per year in the original lunar calendar. And women will typically have 13 menstrual cycles in a year, in a lunar calendar year. So we as women are always working with the moon, whether we're aware of it or not. We have 3 moon cycles. We have our cycle that is linked up with the new moon and full moon cycles, so moving into the outer moon. We have our menstrual moon cycle, and we also have these subtle energy centers on our body, which are the 11 moon centers of a woman. And every 2.5 days, the energy within us shifts and links to a different subtle area on the body. Each of these subtle areas represents a behavior, an emotion, and a way of being. And so this will determine the woman's cycle through her emotional fluctuations. And when a woman is actually in her power and not impacted by any intense trauma or grief, she can find her own rhythm and track her moon cycle, these 11 moon centers, and they will replicate from month to month. So this is also how we work with these energies. So knowing that the number 13 is linked to the lunar calendar and it has that energy, And a woman is linked to the moon, right? The feminine is linked to the moon, just as the masculine is linked to the sun. Now, we all have feminine and masculine within us. And those of us that are here on the planet at this time, in form as woman, we are here to anchor and root that divine feminine power and presence so that the planet can come back into balance. Because when patriarchy took over, it wasn't that they just came in and took over. We handed it over. We gave our power away. And yes, there were instances where we were burned at the stake, hung, we probably were tortured in many different ways for our gifts, for our speaking our voice, for sharing our herbal tinctures and our healing powers with others, because we were those that could see, we were the oracles, we were connected into our intuition. And so there is a lot of trauma, even if it's not at the forefront of your awareness. There is trauma from past lives that is carried through into this life. And even men on the planet at this time who are reconnecting into their feminine are starting to now feel like there's this opening, that we are able to speak up, that we are able to share about spirituality and healing and our wisdom that is pulled through all those lifetimes. So there can be this hesitancy to share fully, to go all in and just fully shine and be the bright light that you are here to be, to help others also accept that feminine nature within. So let's talk briefly about the feminine energies and the qualities when a woman is empowered in her feminine energy. So the empowerment looks like being intuitive, creative. It's the birthing process, it's fertility, and this doesn't necessarily have to mean giving birth to another soul. Yet how powerful is that we are blessed with that ability to be the vessel, to carry a soul and to bring it forth onto this earth. And then we have the nurturing that we are here to be the nurturer for others. And I talk about this often, how important it is to fill our cup and then serve with all our heart and give from all our heart, from that overflowing cup that we continue to nourish and fill up. So the nurturing is first to nurture ourselves and then be available to nurture others. And so we have all these aspects of the feminine. Receptivity. This is a big one. Receptivity. If you think about the qualities of the sun and the moon, and the sun is this very active energy. It heats us up, it detoxes us. And then the feminine moon energy is cooling and receptive, and it's reflective, it's internal. It supports us to go inward and to really find that stillness within, and to also tap into that space where when we are still, we receive the guidance, we receive our intuition. And so when we come into these qualities of healing and magic, these feminine empowerment qualities, we are in alignment with our soul's trajectory. Because we are here, those of us that hear the call to step in and rise up into that power and into that feminine aspect. And when we are truly able to be in that stillness and hold the space for others to grow around us without nagging, without pointing out what isn't right and what's not going right, what could be done better, when we come from a space of pure unconditional love and we hold that space for others to grow, they can relax in our presence. And when they can relax in our presence, they will trust. And when they trust, they will start to open and blossom and step into their power. And to also see that it is okay to hold that feminine energy, to be that feminine presence, to be vulnerable. You know, as we gave our power away, when we started to attempt to get our power back and take our power back, we actually went in the complete opposite direction. And we put on the pants. We went in competition with men, and competition is part of the old paradigm. And yet that was the only way that we knew how to attempt to find that equality with the masculine who had taken over, who had all the positions, right? The masculine was the leader. And we, knowing we are here to lead, only knew what we saw. So we saw what was working for the men, and we attempted to take on that role of the masculine and give up our femininity altogether and go head to head with men and see how that works. And exactly how that worked, it threw the entire planet into disharmony and imbalance. And now we have this opportunity, as things are shifting and changing so rapidly as we are ascending, to move into that space of sisterhood and sacredness and seeing the sacred in all of life and remembering our divinity and connection to God. You know, in ancient times, women would sit around the fire and they would intuitively be guided as to when it was time to go out and hunt and gather. And the men, playing their rightful role in the masculine, would wait for the guidance of women. And when the women would tell them to go out, they would go out, they would hunt, they would bring back the food, they would gather, they would create, and everything worked in harmony. And so now you can see that in order for a man or someone to be in their masculine, to ask for guidance, because this is another aspect, is in the principle of genders in the mystery school teachings, everything has a feminine and masculine. And so when two people are together in conversation or relating, one will be in their feminine and one will be in their masculine. And it can be this beautiful dance. It's not that one will stay in one and one will stay in the other. However, it can be that as well. So keep that as in mind as I'm speaking, that it is this fluidity that happens in our transactions and through our intimacy with others. So if you think about a man being in their divine masculine, so we are, as we are stepping into our feminine and holding that space, the man can rise into his divine masculine as he accepts the feminine within him. And the more that those around us can feel that sense of safety and security in our presence and that relaxation, the more they trust to ask for guidance. And I can tell you that I know in my own personal life that when I am fully embodying this energy of femininity, how often I have men come into my life and ask me for help. They ask me for advice. And they trust. And sometimes they simply want to share what's going on with them or what's on their heart. And it's such a beautiful blessing to be able to receive that relationship and that experience, and to see and to witness the shift and the change in the consciousness, and how men are starting to step into their fullness, just as women are as well. And so I'm going to wrap this up because there is so much to say. I will be back talking more about feminine energy. So we want to come back quickly to the 13 and to also state here that 13 in the tarot is the death card. It is death, rebirth, transformation. It is deeply related to the energy of Scorpio, as it is the Scorpio card in the tarot. And Scorpio is deeply connected to our soul. And so this energy on this Friday the 13th is that death. So you can see how it has also been distorted into the illusion of death in a form of horror and murder. And yet it is truly about our souls transforming and being reborn as we shed the old. And as we shed the old, we step into the newness and the embodiment of our full potential. So one more aspect we're going to pull in on the 13 is that in Kundalini, it is the intuitive mind, the neutral mind, the meditative mind. 13, when it's brought down to a single digit, is 4, which represents the neutral mind, which is one of the 10 bodies of light consciousness. And the neutral mind, being our intuition, is truly when we are connected to also our 4th center. So 13 as a single digit vibration is a 4. Our 4th center is the heart center. So when we look at the energy centers of the body, the feminine polarity is at the heart center and also at the 3rd eye. So the meditative mind, the intuitive mind, the neutral mind, and the heart center. And so we have layers upon layers of symbolism and esoteric teachings within Friday the 13th. And it is so powerful. It is the day we truly are here to celebrate the goddess within all, to celebrate Mother Earth for holding the consciousness on the planet, for helping us to release and transform, to honor the cycles of the earth and the rhythms of nature and the cycles of the moon and the rising and falling of the sun, and returning truly back to the source. And so I wish you the most beautiful and amazing Friday the 13th. And I'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions or comments, please comment below. And for more videos like this, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will be back very soon with more updates.